Good morning. It's quite early here and about 7 o'clock, and the sky is very, very grey and overcast. It's not at all a bright looking day, but things have calmed down a little since the wild, wet and windy weekend that we've just had. But although it's very grey out there, and although my mind is in a way quite full of the flavour of a particular dream that I had just before waking, also in my mind or in my imagination is something very bright, or actually three things which are all very bright images. And these are the sun, the moon and the stars. I like very much, as you've probably realised if you've watched these videos, I like very much using symbols, and especially symbols from the natural world, as a way of metaphor or analogy for aspects of the spiritual life. So the sun, I'm thinking, is a very good analogy for the Buddha. So how is the Buddha like the sun? Or how is the sun like the Buddha? Well, it's probably fairly obvious. The sun, when it's out, when it appears, shines very brightly. It gives us light and warmth. It separates day from night. And sunshine shines on everything. It doesn't discriminate. It just shines down on the world. And the Buddha similarly is full of light and warmth. When I say the Buddha, I don't just mean Shakyamuni, the historical Buddha, but I mean any Buddha figure, either historical or archetypal, any Buddha image which might present it to ourselves, or not even necessarily an image, but any felt sense of Buddha, one who is awake, one who is enlightened. And those images or those felt senses, they shine. The Buddha radiates. When I visualize or imagine a Buddha figure of any kind, they're almost always a figure of light. A Buddha, in essence, is made up of light. So they shine, they radiate, they warm us. The light of the Buddha is like the light of wisdom that clarifies things. It's the light of awareness or mindfulness. And the warmth that the Buddha radiates is the warmth of compassion, or the warmth of metta, loving kindness, which, like the sun, doesn't discriminate, but it shines on all beings, regardless of what their colour is, or their race, or their gender, or their particular qualities or attributes. The Buddha's sun shines on all. And the second image is the image of the moon, in particular the full moon. The full moon shines through on a dark night, gives illumination, clarity. Sometimes it's just there in a clear sky, just hanging there, this great light, this great luminosity. And sometimes it seems as if the full moon comes and goes, or rather the clouds come and go in front of it. And we see it now appearing, now slightly obscured, and now coming into full view again. And this is very like the light of the Dharma. The Dharma meaning the teachings of the Buddha, but also meaning reality itself, the truth of things, the way things are. When we encounter the Dharma, when we comprehend or recognize some aspect of the Dharma, then things become clear in our mind, as though the full moon has penetrated right through the darkness or the obscurations that we experience in our mind for much of the time. So the moon, a symbol of clarity, of light, of clarity penetrating through whatever hindrances we experience in our mind. And we experience plenty of them. Sometimes it's as though we willingly create hindrances or obscurations. We don't always want to see the truth of things, the way things are. So we draw a veil across the full moon, whether consciously or unconsciously. But we also move aside that veil, or the full moon manages to penetrate through it, just because we want to be open to it. We want to know, deep down we want to know the truth of the way things are. So we put aside the obscurations and we allow the moonlight to come in and illuminate our mind, show us the way things are. And the third image that I had was the image of stars. Stars in the sky. Stars in a dark sky. I've just moved back into the city, whereas before I lived for quite a few years in a village. And you could certainly see more stars then. There's more light pollution here in the city at night. I remember a long time ago when I was travelling and I was in Iran, and the stars, I stayed one night in a village where I'm not even sure if there was any electricity, but it was very, very dark at night and cold. And it was on this kind of desert plateau, I think you might call it. And the sky at night was just incredible. I just never knew there were that many stars in the sky. Just full of stars, twinkling, sparkling, shining. And I think starlight is a great image for the Sangha. So in the Sangha, we've got the Bodhisattvas, the archetypal figures who shine their light whenever we make the effort to contact them. And we've got all of the teachers, the great teachers of the Buddhist tradition, down through centuries, who have continued to keep the Dharma alive, not just through their teaching, but also through their life, their example, the way they lived. We've probably all got our particular favourite teachers, but I might just mention a few. We've got Milarepa from the Tibetan tradition and his great disciple Gampopa, Padmasambhava from the Indian Tibetan tradition, and his disciple Yeshe Tsogyal. And we've got the Chinese or Japanese teachers, Kukai, Hakuin. Ryokan is a more recent favourite one of mine, someone I look to very much for his light and wisdom, humility and humanity. And we've got many more recent teachers, including the teacher and founder of Triratna, who died just a couple of years ago, Bhante Sangharakshita. And we've got through him a connection with teachers such as Dada Rinpoche and Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. And we've also got other contemporary teachers from other traditions, such as Thich Nhat Hanh, Chogyam Trungpa, Pema Chodron, Shenpen Hukam. All of these teachers, through the past and currently, are all like stars shining, guiding us on the way, illuminating the path. And of course, very strongly, we've also got our own connections with the particular Sangha that we're part of. And we've got all the friendships that we have within that Sangha, the people we know who are practicing on the path, just like us. And when we meet and share experiences, when two friends in the Sangha meet and communicate, they are very much like two sparkling stars which shine towards each other, reflect each other with their starlight, and encourage each other, not necessarily explicitly or intentionally, but they encourage, or rather they bring about an extra brightness in each other through that contact. So we've got then the sun, the moon and the stars, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. And this is what, as Buddhists, we go for refuge to, we commit our life to. We practice with the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha as central guiding principles in our life. Just as we live our life, our ordinary life in this world, with the sun, the moon and the stars illuminating what would otherwise be a very dark life. So, may the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha jewels illuminate all our lives.